You all know Nico. His bio was in the newsletter. He is going to talk to us today about something that's near and dear to his heart and something that is near and dear to hearts of a lot of us. I don't think we can do enough or say enough or ever show our appreciation enough for the men and women who've served our country in ways that I know I will never know or experience. But we do have an opportunity to honor them by facilitating their travel to different places in Washington, D.C. to see monuments that are consecrated on their behalf. Certainly the vets that we have from World War II, we're losing more and more of those, and giving them an opportunity to reflect on their service and the people that they served with, lost lives, but what service they committed to this country on our behalf and in the name of freedom and democracy is something that we can just never say thank you enough. I am grateful that we have such a proponent of the honor flight in Nico Iannelli. Nico has been a proponent of this, got it started here in this area, and we are just honored to be a part of it. Nico, we welcome you today with open arms and look forward to hearing all there is about honor flight. Thank you.
Well, I have to use this for everybody on here, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can either stand here and I can train that on you, or
Here, I'm gonna put the either way. So I'm so used to speaking in a room and with World War II veterans, Korean veterans, and they're 150, 200 deep. And those that know me, my voice is loud enough, but I'll use this for everybody on here. So honor, thanks, and inspire. So the Queen City Honor Flight is dedicated to bringing our senior war veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the memorials that were built for them. It truly is one of the most humbling experiences that I've been able to do. I was a medic in the Army. I was stateside. And, you know, even after 9/11, all the guys that I trained with went overseas. They didn't make it back. So this is my way of continuing to honor everybody. But I want to share a quick video that Jason Wally did from our last flight, and kind of gives a summary of the honor flight. And I'll talk a little bit more about the background of it. Let's see. Hold on.
1 second.
Please stand by.
Let me share screen.
Can we see it now?
Yeah. Can you hear it now?
Can I make it bigger or no?
Yeah.
Can we see it online?
Yep. All together.
You want to play through that and let's put the mic next to it?
What's this guy do?
Worked before.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Kelly's checking this out. Stop the share. Whoop. All right, back. For me, this is something that's really emotional. So that was video from the last flight we did. So the Queen City Honor Flight, and many of us that have been in Rotary a long time. So back in 2008 till 2010, it was Rotary District 7680 had a project called the Flight of Honor. And during that time, our Rotarians took over 800 World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. And several of you in this room were probably part of it. And then for one reason or another, the program stopped. And for me, and I've shared this with the clubs, and Kevin knows, as Rotarians, we continue doing what we're doing, whether it's a district project or a club project and something that we're passionate about, and it stopped. So in the summer of 2017, I got a phone call from a fellow Rotarian. Her dad was a Marine that passed away. He was friends with the folks that started the honor flight, which actually started in North Carolina in Asheville 13 or now 14 years ago, to do the first commercial flight to Washington, D.C. And she called while she was driving down the mountains and said, hey, like we want to do an honor flight. I know you're in the service. Can you help me? And as a Rotarian, I'm like, absolutely. Let me know what we can do. The next day I got a phone call saying, hey, I need somebody to run the program. Are you in? As a Rotarian, yes. So this was in July of 17. And at that time, we were going to charter a small plane. We were going to take 60 folks up to Washington, D.C. And within a few weeks, we were full. Now I was trying to work logistics on taking 2 planes up there. And we filled that. And then we were able to get a 737 and we flew up there. We had about 80 veterans plus volunteers that went up there. And it was truly remarkable. The first honor flight I actually went on was the week before with the folks up in Asheville to see hands-on how to work logistics with TSA, security, in getting through DC. And then in October of 2017, we took the 737 up there, and it was truly remarkable. We came home and we had over 1,000 people at the Charlotte airport to give these men and women the welcome home that they never received. And as a Rotarian, it's go big or go home. So we got off the plane, and the next day it's like, all right, we're going to do another flight in the spring. So now I chartered a 321 and we had 186 people. And I was like, if we can accomplish this in 2.5 months to get everybody in May, we'll have plenty of time. So we did that. And then we did our second mission to resume the flights. And now, so what we did is, so that this program continued from a district project, we incorporated Queen City Honor Flight as a 501c3. So it's a nonprofit. We have a board and it can continue. It doesn't matter who the governor is and all that. This is a program that's being funded. It's helped by many Rotarians, because that's why we make sure that Rotary's on everything that we do. But the help of the clubs and the members have really the ones that have been sponsoring the honor flights. So we opened up to World War II, Korea, and Vietnam veterans, and those that are terminally ill, as well as the younger guys and women that are coming back from the sandbox. And currently, so we have about 300 veterans on the wait list. So we did the flight in May, we did one the following year, and then COVID hit. We were supposed to fly out in May of 2 years ago, and all the honor flights across the US got grounded. There's about 140 hubs. And the hubs are the area. So up until last year, it was Asheville and then us for Queen City. So there's 100 counties in North Carolina. We pretty much covered from Hickory all the way out to the coast. And we had men and women that were coming in and the veterans. I'm happy to announce that the folks up in Piedmont I think I shut this off. Up in the Piedmont in the Rotary District, just northeast of us, they decided after a 10-year break to restart their program up there. So the Triangle area now has, what do they call themselves? The Triad Honor Flight. So they're covering those areas. And then in Cape Fear, they started another hub, and they'll have their first flight out this spring. So they'll do it. So it helps break it up. My question is, all right, the other 80 counties that are left, they're still coming here. And then we're also having veterans from South Carolina that are coming in. So what is the honor flight? So we get 100 veterans that go on the honor flight for their day of honor to give these men and women a welcome home that they never received. And this is the first time in 50, 60, 70 plus years that these men and women are, and I say women because we had several women that have been, and we had a female World War II veteran also that was in the medical corps. But this is the first time that they ever got a welcome home and a thank you. Thank you for the dedication and service. You know, some of us signed up and volunteered to go to the military. Some of them didn't have a choice to go. It's a day of healing. You know, it's amazing going through and meeting everybody firsthand and speaking with them and going to the World War II Memorial at the mall, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and the Korean Veterans Memorial, and hearing the stories from them. It's the first time that these men and women are finally opening up. You know, they've been home 50, 60, 70 years, like I said, and they never shared stories with the families. You know, they came home and times were different and they went about. But so John Tate, who was a World War II paratrooper, and he was 98 when we came back. And I'll say exactly what he said because he said it on TV. He says, you can look around and kind of see on who got kicked in the ass and know that you're in brothers in arms and you can open up. So these men are finally able to open up with the folks that went through the same thing and understand. And it was the first time in all these years that they started talking, and it opened up the healing process. And it's one of those things that, you know, it meant so much for them. It breaks my heart because I see all the applications that come in. When we lose one of our veterans, the family's calling me. And they got to the point, especially in the last 2 years, that it's even difficult to pick up the phone and answer, because I can tell you half these guys that we went with and spent time with, they're no longer with us. And we try to pay tribute to them. And even during the pandemic, like not being able to go, not being able to take these men and women up there, it was heartbreaking. We were hoping to resume flights this May. Up until January, we thought we were going to be a go. And just with logistics on working out, you know, there's some challenges currently in Washington on trying to get, because so when we go to Washington, we would go see everything. We get 4 charter buses. We're bringing 60 to 80 wheelchairs with us. So the 321 holds 186 passengers. We have 100 veterans that go for free. And then we have our medical team and our guardians and volunteers that they're doing. Typically, we try to match everybody with 1 veteran with a guardian, or 2 to 1. So we're bringing 60 or 80 wheelchairs because, you know, folks get pushed around. And even the ones that are able to, it's a long day going. So, but in the past, we were able to have a police escort. So in DC, for those that have been there, it's very challenging to get around. So having a police escort with the 4 charter buses to get from point A to point B on time is wonderful. So right now, there's no police escorts. So they're trying to work at that and also trying to get some permits in DC. There are some honor flights that are resuming. This is like our season. So now until about June, they'll start having honor flights going, and then we'll resume back in the fall. So we made a hard decision on just postponing right now. The feedback that we got from our board members, which are the commander for the military or Purple Hearts, the state deputy commander for the VFW, as well as others, the feedback that we got from a lot of the veterans and families was like, we just want to wait. This is back in January. So we decided to, let's postpone this spring. We'll resume in the fall. So the fall flight, we already have 100 folks that were supposed to go 2 years ago that are calling every day and excited and waiting to go. And if we can raise enough money, hopefully we can get 2 flights, because we have 300 veterans, like I said, wait on the wait list. The big question I get, it's like, well, the flights are free. No, they're not. So we actually have to charter the plane for the day. Each mission costs about before everything, it was about $80,000 roughly. You know, big portion of that is the plane. Now, American Airlines has been a great partner with Honor Flight and On Flight Networks, and every hub does different airlines. Sometimes they'll even get private passenger tickets and go on a regular flight. But the hard part is that you're hit with delays and don't know. So when we charter a plane, it's ours. It's all the veterans on there. They're there for the day. And we know that when we can load up, we can go and we're set. But it's amazing. So a typical day is we're there at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. The veterans are coming in at 6:30. By 7 o'clock, we're boarded. The folks at Charlotte Douglas have been incredible. So we leave with a water cannon salute. And for those that don't know, the water cannon salute that goes over a plane is usually typically done when a pilot retires or a high honor. And so we're honoring our veterans as we're leaving with a water cannon salute. The folks at the airport, American Airlines, TSA, and everybody have been incredible. TSA has been great to work with. So, as we get everybody through, so those on an honor flight have, Congress passed several years back, there's a honor flight ruling that's in place that our military veterans that are going on honor flights, we are chartering the whole plane. There's reduced security, or special screening that we can go through, because I'm carrying duffel bags of medals and radios and badges and pins and all that typically you can't bring through, but we're able to. And then so we leave. So we arrive in DC and at the airport, and we're there with color guard and marching band, students. There's hundreds of folks there that you can see in the video that welcome these men and women off the plane. Again, this is the first time that they've ever seen it, and it's incredible. And
You playing a Reagan?
Yeah.
Dallas?
I'm drawing a blank.
Virginia or DC?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Dulles is too far. Yeah. Some of the other flights do go in from Dulles, but there's a lot of construction that's going on there. So we load up the planes, we get the police escort, we go to the memorial, and we also get an opportunity that we have a reserve time to go to Arlington National Cemetery for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers for the change of the guard. What's cool is honor flight, we block in our spot, we're able to have a reservation. Our buses are able to pull right up, so that way we don't have a long commute. And it's the only buses that are allowed up there by the amphitheater. And why we also bring the wheelchairs is that because instead of standing, they have a front row seat, as you can see. They're there for the change of the guard. And we'll have lunch at the Air Force Memorial. We'll see the Marine Corps Memorial that they have set up as well. We get back to the airport, we come back, and to their surprise on the video, everybody on the flight gets a welcome home packet. Everybody gets a package. We surprise them by reaching out to family and friends on that, their loved one is going on a flight, and they're writing cards and sending letters in, family members, and everybody gets their own packet. And, they're getting letters from kids in school, from their family. And to their surprise, when we get off the plane, they think that's it. And that's when, at the last flight, we had over 2,000 people. TSA hated me. We had 2,000 people at the airport that are past security right as you get at the gate. So those that have been to the airport, so between Terminal B and C, there's that section where all the restaurants are. We had it lined up, getting out of the gate all the way there on both sides for a welcome home, and everybody was there. So that's why, folks Charlotte Douglas and TSA have been great, especially getting 2,000 people cleared, because I have to send everything through. Everybody has to get security clearance before to get gate passes that are there, but there's not a dry eye with everybody on the flight and everybody that's there, and it's our way of saying thank you and just continue the mission. So our goal is, we're going to resume flights this May. The veterans, like I said, we fly for free. It's all private donations. The guardians that go as an escort it was a $500 donation. We got to see how much the flight's going to be. But typically somebody makes a $500 donation that covers the cost for their seat for the day. And then also if somebody wants to sponsor a veteran, it's there. Like I said, each mission is probably about $80,000 for each one to do. So we'll have some fundraising to do this summer with it. Instead of we can raise enough money, we'll do 2 flights because the wait list is there. Because we have to get them up there before they go. But I just kind of want to open it up for any questions about the honor flight with it. I'm not big on PowerPoints. Just kind of want to share from my heart on the experience, but it has to be, it was a Rotary project. A lot of support from the clubs. The clubs are sponsoring veterans. We're making a donation to it. That's how we were able to get the flights supported, and as well as reaching out to others in the community. So my ask for the club is, if you know a World War II veteran, Korea, Vietnam, that has not been there, send them to our.org or print out an application that's sent in. We get applications every day. We're logging them in. We have a database that keeps track of it, where it goes. Our committee does go through and has to vet everybody. So World War II in Korea have first priority, terminally ill have priority. And then, we look at the other conflicts. And then, sometimes I get folks that, got passed for a flight. Not that not everybody is not deserving, but especially when we look at the stuff overseas, one of the flights we made sure that everybody that received a Purple Heart, so military Purple Heart, we had those guys go. We were able to do. They have a priority as far as on our list. Those that actually served in country, boots in the ground, have priority. I'll share quickly. So I got a phone call, I think it was like 3 years ago on one of the flights, that somebody was upset because he didn't get selected. His neighbor did, but he didn't. And he filled out the paperwork first. So I pull up the applications that I go through. I'm like, all right, well, your neighbor has 2 Purple Hearts and served multiple tours in a high conflict zone, very distinguished. And this guy was an admin clerk in Montana in a non-conflict period. And I'm like, there's a big difference. I would love to take everybody, but we don't have enough money or time to do that. So, that's why when we go through, those that were in country and served, they'll have first priority. And then as we can get those men and women up there, then, we can look at the others. But it's pretty interesting. You got people lying and we have to vet them and go through. But and the ones, I still laugh about this one because, getting only discharged as an admin clerk and complaining why you can't go compared to somebody who's highly decorated. But so I'll leave it up to any questions from anybody online or from the floor.
How do you volunteer to go along?
You ask, you raise your hand. I'm bringing on 8 more board members to help, especially because everybody's like, how can we help? I need a volunteer coordinator. So one of the members on the board that's gonna be coming on, we'll do it. We'll have a sign up probably on our website and we'll share it with everybody when we do on, hey, I want to volunteer. And then these are the different things because we can use help with the welcome home, doing the phone calls and the outreach to the veterans, helping with some of the planning piece, or even just, reaching out to the community organizations to let them know that we do have the honor flights. A lot of them don't realize that they have resumed again since 2017, and that it's not just for World War II veterans.
I've got a comment. Does anybody know if Harding Shin has been?
I don't know if he's been.
I don't know. We had several people. Yeah.
I was saying.
Wouldn't it be cool to sponsor Harding for this? I mean, I would love.
He's 102.
So age is not a limit. So yeah, so we had one was 101, one that turned 100 and he was 101. He turned 102 a week after we came back, and then he passed away after that. And through this whole experience, because we were doing these flights, so Gary Sinise, who many know as the actor, so he's got the Gary Sinise Foundation. They reached out to us, I think it's 4 years ago now, where the Gary Sinise Foundation has a program called Soaring Valor, where they take the World War II veterans to the World War II Museum down in New Orleans. So they couldn't locate her. I was like, you need World War II veterans. We know who we took. So we were able to get on a flight with them. We took 60 World War II veterans to New Orleans for, I think, 3 or 4 days. Bob Crum, who was a World War II veteran up in Cornelius, he actually asked me to be his guardian, and I was honored. It was incredible. I remember him. He was on our first flight, and he was the only World War II veteran all day, refused to use a wheelchair. small little guy. And when we're at the airport, as we're doing the whole, parade coming through, leaving, it was going too slow for him. So he was walking ahead of the security cart that was there. So I remembered him. So when we invited him to go, he goes, Nico, can you be my guardian? I'm like, absolutely. So I got to go to New Orleans for 4 days with 60 World War II veterans and to hear the stories. We were at the airport, so they put us up in a hotel the night before where everybody was getting together. And we're on the 3rd floor, 4th floor. So I have his bag, I'm bringing it up to the elevator. He goes, where are you going? I go, we're going up to the room. He goes, we're taking the stairs. Okay. So, we do that. So we get to New Orleans and we were on the 12th floor. I said, Bob, we have to take the elevator on this one. And he had it mapped out on everywhere he wanted to go in New Orleans. I forget the name of the street, but what's that?
Bourbon Street.
Bourbon, that whole thing, he had it all mapped out. And so now, we have 60 World War II veterans. We're going to the museum. There's dinners, there's functions. I was exhausted. And Bob's like, all right, let's go on a tour. I'm like, all right. So we had another Rotarian, actually Linda Radnick. So she brought her dad, who was a World War II veteran. I go, her dad didn't want to go. I go, Linda, I'll swap. I'll stay here and drink wine with your dad for lunch, and you take Bob. And she's like, okay. So they walked around, and Bob disappeared on her. So Bob, again, because
You're really selling this.
Well,
Nico. You're really selling it.
so Linda and everybody, they were walking too slow because they were window shopping. So Bob took off. And then he went to around Bourbon Street, and there's presenters and speakers, and started talking with folks. Somehow he got involved on the street play, the reenactment, and then they gave him a tour of a shop, and then they drove him back to the hotel. So here I am, like Linda comes back, like I don't know where Bob is.
Survived the war, missing in action.
She's gonna kill me if she sees this. So she comes back, and so Bob comes. I'm like, where were you? And he's got lipstick all over his face. He's like, he's like telling me about the street play and met these other ladies, and they were giving him a tour and then brought him back. And I'm like, I was happy he was. So that evening, so they all wanted the beignets, which are like, for me, like there's covered in sugar. It's 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'm not taking 60 World War II veterans down on Bourbon Street to go get beignets. And they're like, well, we want to go. I'm like, so I talked to one of the guys at the hotel. I'm like, listen, I got all World War II veterans. I need beignets. I'm like, can we get them delivered? He goes, no, we can't do that. So I took care of him. Next thing you know, his cousin worked there. They made dozens of beignets, picked them up, brought them back. We had the table covered in sugar that they were all there. So it was an incredible experience, and even the videos and memories of that as these men pass on, being able to share that has been it's been incredible. So that's what gives us the fuel to keep going. Yes, Joy.
I just have a couple of comments. My grandfather was able to go on one of the first flights out of Charlotte, and I signed up to be a guardian. I wasn't picked for that flight, but I went the next time, and it was amazing. So one of the comments that I thought was hard, and what I was doing is I had 3 veterans that I was guarding, and one of them was in a wheelchair when we got there. All 3 were on the left, and how does one person push 3 wheelchairs? So it was, when you said you have 1 guardian for every 1 to 2 veterans, that's a big difference from 2010.
Yeah, I mean, we try, right? And we wish we can read more, but I'd rather bring the veterans than the guardians, because there's a whole group of volunteers that when we get in DC, that volunteer for the Honor Flight Network down there, because I mean, there's flights all the time. And when we go, I mean, it's on what they call like a super Saturday. There may be 11 different honor flights that are coming in from all over. So there's thousands that are there. Typically when we go, because we try running logistics on right now, like when we were looking at, there was 7 coming in on the same day. And so the airline limits on only 3 flights with American through their terminal. We have Southwest and a few others that come in, and those that are getting bussed in, and just trying to work logistics on gate time, getting to the different memorials so that we're not there and booking all that. So, the volunteers are there, and it's from, all whether it's the community as well as some of the alphabet agencies that they all volunteer and are all bus tour guides that are on there. It's truly incredible, but and it's how the Guardians, when we do the training for them, because their ultimate responsibility is their veteran safety. Because last thing I want is somebody trips, falls, gets hurt. We have a small medical team that goes to keep eyes on everybody. One of the honor flights a couple years ago, the veteran did pass away on the flight going back to California. So I mean, we got to be prepared for all that stuff. But a lot of these men and women, they hold on to, they can do their flight with it. So that's the urgency to keep doing it. But if it wasn't for Rotary, I wouldn't have learned about it. I'm thankful for those in the district that started back in 2008, and I know it was past District Governor Bob Wilson who started the program and was able to go. And even at that time, taking 800 up there was phenomenal. And I know John Tabor and a few have kind of some of the history and the old pictures and things like that. But we have to continue sharing the story. And I said, telling the story is just as important as the work that we're doing. And if we don't share with other Rotarians that, hey, this is a project that's been going on, they don't know. And that's what got me hooked into it. So on top of 5 kids and everything, this is another thing that I know.
We have ice cream birthday cake for Taylor at the back, so you can keep going.
You can't hear it, but Kelly has ice cream.
Stop it.
And
I didn't see them laughing.
any questions from anybody online?
Nico, do you have ability to see, so you have the ability to look at the old records, see who's gone on it?
Not on the ones previously, and just trying to get info from those in the district, from the different clubs that participated. Each club might know. The best thing is to ask them, say, hey, have you been on a flight?
He would be.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They would know, or ask a family member. Those that have been on previously, they had the experience and they want somebody else to go. We've also had those that have been on a flight, then sign up to be a Guardian. They want to go and they share it because they want them to have the same experience. I'll go through the experience as them. I've also had those that tried getting on for the second and third time, say that they haven't been on, and I looked because we started keeping everything in a database of stacks and stacks of paper, and said, you went like last year. Yeah, but I loved it so much I want to go again. I'm like, I understand, but like there's 300 people waiting, like, so it's doing that whole balancing act. So yes.
Come to welcome the veterans back to Charlotte.
So the question was, so those that come for the welcome home at the airport at the end of the day, there's everybody. So we put it out there. We send it out to all the Rotary clubs. We send it out to the community. There's a like a sign up that we have, because I have to get to the air. I have to give TSA the security list 72 hours before like the manifest that's going through. They said when I hit over 2,000, they weren't happy.
They only gave you gave 72 hours for 2,000 people.
Yeah. So, but and there's those that change now with post-COVID. It's going to be interesting to see how that's going to operate. I don't think I can get thousands of people past security in that space. So that's kind of why we want to wait out this spring and see and try to work with the airport to see what they'll allow. But we'll have a public link. We'll share it on Facebook, on the website. We'll send it to all Rotarians as well. And anybody who wants to come, you just sign up, you just whatever TSA, it's name, birthday, and all that. And there's people that didn't sign up and they show up, and TSA has been grateful and worked with us with that. Just can't bring any mock rifles and sticks and stuff like that. So they give us a list on, because everybody wants to bring like flags and banners and signs. There's some things that you just can't bring through security. But that's where everybody comes for the welcome home. Family members, those who wrote the letters and the cards, they want to be there. We have family members that will fly in or drive in because their dad or uncle or grandfather was on there. We've also had family members surprise their loved ones up in DC. They don't know. It's like, hey, Nico, like we want to go up there. Where can we meet them at? And I run through our schedule, so that way they can meet and they're able to see them. So it's pretty, it's remarkable. It's really incredible.
I just want to, I know we've got Tom Filson, who's a veteran here, and Dave Miller. Are there any other veterans? Howard is Air Force. Howard. Yep. So I just want to say thank you to the veterans that we have here and to Dave Miller online.
Dave, so have you been up to DC, see the memorial yet? No? How about you, gentlemen? Have you been up there yet? Have you been to DC? So, Mr. Crump, James Crump, he was a World War II veteran out at the VFW post in Indian Trail, and Mr. Crump was loved by many, and he was an inspiration to many of us. So, Mr. Crump refused to go on a plane. The only time he was on a plane was when he got dropped into Normandy. And since then, he refused to go on a plane. It took it. Well, yeah. It took us 8 months of trying to convince him. So after he got on the plane for the first time, and they sat him up front. He goes, "This is great." He goes, "This is so much better." He goes, if I knew this is flying, I would have done it many years ago. So, my friend Tim Woods, who's the deputy state commander for the VFW, he would drive Mr. Crump to all the events across the U.S. that where he was being honored at. He goes, all these years we've been driving on that we could have flown, but we were able to go to New Orleans with Soaring Valor, as well as go to Washington D.C. And he passed away. I think it's 2 years ago now with it. But it's even for those that don't like flying, it's different when it's charter. It's all us, and we're able to talk and do all that. So it's incredible. Anybody else? Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share about the homicide. Thank you also for allowing me to serve as governor. And the biggest thing for me, it's been humbling to go to all the clubs and seeing the projects that you all are doing in the community and being able to be a cheerleader and sharing that with everybody else. I'm amazed every day, and I'm a Rotarian just like everybody else. That's why I don't like the bio. We're a bunch of good people doing good things, and we have our passions. We do good. It's in our community and across the globe. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Nico. Have some cake.
No, we don't have cake.
Alrighty. My ice cream's melting, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this baby up.
Raffle.
Thank you, Nico. All right, Taylor, birthday boy,
I'll pick the raffle.
pick the raffle.
I was gonna enter, and then if I won, actually take the money.
He was gonna take the money.
I decided not, guys. Kelly did say one person.
Well, that was, Eric said that.
Yeah. All right, we ready? Last four is 4353.
4353, it's the first one.
Yeah.
All right, David Hoskins. All right,
The numbers in it.
if we could do the 5-way test. Of all the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, will it be fun? Unless it was last week. All right. Ding, ding, ding.